Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hey, Pixie. Hey, Rhonda. Hey, Elle. Happy to see you all today. How is everybody? Welcome to day 17 or 18 of What the WTF. This is, hey, Kenny. This is, oh God, okay, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, day 18. Wow. I need to keep up. Welcome, everybody. Elizabeth, Pixie, Allie, Sophia, Aaron, y'all here. I'm happy to see you. Welcome to anybody new. Hey, Karen. This What the WTF series has become just a joy to show up every day. No agenda, no expectation, nothing pre-planned or pre-plotted or pre-packaged. I'm just showing up, connecting with whoever's here, allowing the moment just to move through. And then we get to see what's here for us, right? This has been a beautiful exploration of not only life post eclipse, and the reason that the eclipse was used as sort of a marker for this, because I think some people look at the title and go, post eclipse, like that was 3 weeks ago. Yes. And, there's a couple things at play, right? Eclipse seasons, in terms of the pairs that we find, I think we're in the Libra Aries axis. It lasts for 18 months. And an eclipse activates a portal or an arc of experience that lasts for much longer than just a day or two. So we're looking at like 6 months and then 12 months and then 18 months cycles. So the eclipses create quite a ripple, right? It's like dropping a huge boulder into a pond, and those ripples continue to reverberate out from that central point. And so the idea of using the eclipse as a marker was, just a moment of me saying, you know what would happen if for 30 days I just showed up with no expectation, with no agenda, nothing other than like, hey, let me just show up and see what's here. Oh, Kenny, honey, I'm so sorry. Sending so much love to you and your family. That's never easy to lose a fur baby. I'm really sorry. But just taking the time to connect and gather and see what happens if we just show up for ourselves, dedicating some time every single day where we can just be present and connect, free from an agenda, free from the complexities of, am I right or wrong, am I ascending or not, am I 3D, am I 5D, too much. Just take a breath and let yourself be here. And what's beautiful about this whole series, by the way, if you'd like to participate in the live chat, all you have to do is become a subscriber. I have it set to subscribe mode, so only allowing subscribers to comment in the live chat. That helps kind of eliminate some of the bots. But really just allowing ourselves to simply be and explore. And what I've loved is, and I've been creating shorts from all of the content that, has been created through these live streams. And so these beautiful little nuggets of insight or wisdom or guidance or, assistance or whatever, and just flooding YouTube with all sorts of content. I've also been reposting it on my Instagram. If you follow me there, Amar Energy. But I just love the freedom that we have created, a space where we can just show up as we are in the moment without needing to be something else or try to, escape something or grasp at something. It's just giving ourselves some space just to be, without anything to chase or without anything to deny, without anything to achieve or acquire. And just let your whole system exhale into the moment, and understanding that this is really what it's all about. Coming to a space where we can just be ourselves and be present and connect with other people who are doing the best they can to just be themselves and be present, realizing, I think, step by step and moment by moment, that ultimately all humans want the same things, right? And we have been duped, I think, and manipulated and coerced and seduced and influenced by this idea of right or wrong, right? The good side and the bad side, the right side and the wrong side. And who gets to decide which side is right and everybody is really ultimately the hero of their own story. Never met anybody who didn't in some way believe that what they were doing and the choices they were making were all they had access to, or the best they had access to, or the thing that they had to do. And certainly it's not about excusing shitty behavior and, kind of questionable intentions, but we can also create spaces where we lead with compassion, right? We can create spaces where we lead with trying to understand. And certainly there are choices and outcomes. And certainly people, we all need to remember that we are all accountable for whatever it is we are contributing to the pool that we all swim in, because it's a collective well. We all come from the same place, and to the same place we shall return. And so, whatever it is that any one of us as individual pouring into the well, that is what you are offering to the collective experience. And that is also what you will consume. So, if we are pouring hatred and anger and division and judgment and separation and exclusion into the well, we will simply just consume more of that. If we talk about the idea of their physical reality, this external life is merely a mirror. We live in a giant echo chamber. And just like looking at a mirror, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, you don't change it by screaming at the mirror or destroying the mirror or trying to avoid the mirror. You change what is reflected back at you by changing something in here first. This is the primary reality. This is the secondary reality. And by universal law, this always informs this. Think of it this way. As we navigate through the world and we see everything as a reflection, sometimes we become so entrenched and so allegiant to our own anger and our own cynicism and our own defensiveness and our own aggression that we sometimes forget that there's another way to be. We sometimes forget that we don't have to continue to believe that the default, oh, well, it's just hard to be a human and it sucks to be me. And, there's all this anger and all this venom and all this toxicity that's been pent up that I haven't found an outlet for. And so we become so convinced of the world that we live in as a dangerous, awful, horrible, dark place. But when we smile, the mirror immediately begins to smile back. When we choose to say, I don't know what the solution is, but I know that it's not going to be found in judgment, aggression, anger, exclusion, toxicity, lack of accountability, lack of responsibility, trying to shove it on and make it everyone else's problem, right? So if you want the world to smile at you, you have to find a way to begin to soften what you're putting out. If you want the world to become a little more flexible and a little less rigid, so too must you find ways to become a little more flexible. It always starts and ends with you. So, this idea that love or compassion or softness or vulnerability is weakness couldn't be further from the truth. I believe that compassion and love and softness is the strongest choice. Because when I could look at someone and they are doing all sorts of things that, from my perspective, wow, that's evil, that's dark, that's violent, that's aggressive, that's horrible. And I also know that treating them with that same anger, aggression, violence, toxicity, negativity, etc., will not change anything. The bravest choice is to be loving and compassionate. It's fucking easy to pull the trigger and shoot someone. It's fucking easy to sit in front of your laptop and push a button and bomb the fuck out of another country. That's fucking easy in terms of choice. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to take another life, but when we are standing at the precipice, at the threshold where we are seeing an opportunity to do it differently, The bravest choice is softness. The bravest choice is to say, I don't know how to get us out of this mess, but I know that bombing the fuck out of people and telling, this country that it's a noble and good thing to want to eradicate and obliterate an entire nation of people. The only thing that's ever going to stand up to that and stop that cycle is our willingness to say, no, enough, enough. We're not going to entrench ourselves in another cycle of violence just so some nefarious, fucked up war profiteers can make a little bit more money. No, I'm not doing that. And I'm also not going away. So love is a brave choice. Softness and compassion are brave choices, especially when the whole world seems to be running en masse to the brink of the precipice and they can't wait to fucking go over the edge. And they don't even know that's what they're doing. They're just looking at where everyone else is going and go, oh, this is what we have to do. Who among us is willing to say, stop? Stop. Are you 100% clear on the intentions of those who are telling you to bomb the fuck out of everyone else because it's holy or good or noble? Do you know exactly why they want to do that? Have you sat down with them and investigated and vetted their intentions and their background? Have you begun to trust this that says, how does that solve anything? So you got to be willing to be brave. Otherwise, nothing's going to fucking change. You've got to be willing to say, well, I've heard that story before about how if we just spend more money on more devices to kill more people, that everything will be fine. I'm going on 53 years in this body? I've been hearing that rhetoric for at least 40 of them. Still waiting for that one to be true. So at some point, yeah, this is something that was in my book, Notes from the Higher Self. Are you a creator or are you a reactor? Notes from the Higher Self by Amar, now available on Amazon. Are you a creator or a reactor? Because the words are made, those two words are made of the exact same letters. The heart responds, the ego reacts. That's another lesson in Notes from the Higher Self. So we just have to decide what we want and be willing to tell the psychopaths that want to usher us all over the edge of the cliff, be willing to say, no, I just don't believe you. You're lying. And we have to be willing to step forward and say that publicly. It's really easy to have opinions and ideas that perhaps are unpopular and keep them to yourself. Now, I'm not saying you need to burn it all down. You may very well may have your reasons for not speaking out, for not saying something. I know I did. But at some point, we have to say, no, enough. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to jump on the ship of psychopaths. I'm not going to jump on the ship of the disempowered and the victimized. I'm not going to jump on the ship of waiting for someone else or something else to save me. I'm on the ship of I came to fucking do it in my own way. And those who like my way and are interested, then y'all can follow and we can do it together. But I'm doing it my way. I'm doing what I came here to do. And what I did come here to do has nothing to do with all of that madness. I refuse to participate. I've been saying this consistently, and here we are again at the same point. A system such as the matrix, such as a matrix, because a matrix is a matrix. There are matrices everywhere, right? Those crystals that we love to dig out of the earth, those grew in a matrix. So a matrix is just a construct or a structure that allows something else to grow, right? So this idea that we are helpless and bound by these realities that we just have to put up with and endure, that is so untrue. That is the opposite of truth. That couldn't be further from the truth because the reality is, let's go back to square one. This creates this. This is always informed by this. So if this is saying, I'm not fucking investing myself in that matrix anymore. I'm not putting any more belief, any more energy, any more willingness into that. No, I'm not doing it. I am divesting my resources from that system. Explain to me a system that can operate without resources. Explain to me something that is manufactured and human made and can only draw energy. It's a giant parasitic system that has no energy of its own to sustain itself because it is a corruption. When something is divine and inspired, it will always also come with the energy necessary to sustain that system, and it does not require the sacrifice of an individual's energy to do so. But when something is corrupt and it is trying to be built outside of the divine will allow that because of free will, but the divine knows you can't create outside of the divine. The divine holds all things. It's impossible. But when you have something that is geometrically antithetical to the structure that holds it, the only way that that system can sustain is by robbing life, force, energy from another being or groups of beings. Are we getting this yet? The Matrix shows us this reality. The movie The Matrix showed us this reality where humans were just batteries. And the Matrix was literally siphoning the life force out of them to sustain itself. If you fucking unplug yourself from the Matrix, it no longer has a way to drain your life force as its battery. So the more of us that say, no more, no ma'am, Pam, no thank you, and unplug ourselves and refuse to be sucked back into that vortex of misery, the weaker and more unstable the Matrix becomes. It's simple dynamics. It's really, really easy. No, Brian, I don't find it's hard to admit that I've been duped by lies now, but I did. I was really angry for a long time. And I looked around at people really close to me and my family and my circles who are really, really educated, intelligent people. And I looked around going, what the fuck is going on? How are these people not fucking seeing it? I cried, I was angry, I was depressed, I was I was overwhelmed, I was having major, major cognitive dissonance. Luckily, I also was blessed with this knowing that has been with me from the moment I opened the eyes of this body, going, something isn't right here. So I've always had that inkling. But at some point, it's like any other grieving process. And I think that's a lot of where we are right now is I think a lot of people are having existential grief and they don't understand it. They don't understand that those people who for generations, generation after generation after generation, have been telling us, oh, we love you. Oh, we care for you. Oh, we have your best interest in heart. Oh, just give your money. Give us your attention. Give us your vote. Give us your power. Give us your authority. Give us your energy. Give us your life force, and we'll take care of you. So you just have to grieve it. And then you have to decide what you're going to fucking do about it. And what I came to was that's why I'm here. I'm here to help people remember the truth of who they are so they can reclaim it. Because that's where it all begins and ends with your truth. So, Brian, yeah, sometimes truth is impossibly hard to accept. Like I was said several weeks ago, truth is its own dagger. It doesn't need you to jam it in. It doesn't need you to be the force. It just needs you to present it. Truth will do the work. Truth will do the work as long as it is just allowed to be and to breathe. So we have to decide what's important to us on the other side of that grief. So give yourself the space to grieve and acknowledge and accept where you are, and then decide what you're going to do about it. Personally, I got tired of talking to people who weren't ready to listen. I also understand that people can only ever be aware or conscious of a level that they are aware or conscious of. If I don't know that there's a whole other level to my house and you're coming to me saying, why aren't you living upstairs? I'll go, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. There is no upstairs, right? So people can only ever know what they know, what they've experienced, what they're curious about or aware of. So until people understand how they've been duped and manipulated, no one's going to be able to tell them. The only thing that really works, what I have found, is living through example, right? showing someone how it can be done another way, and you consistently show up and are allegiant and dedicated and devoted to that way, and over time people go, wait a minute, why are all of those people over there free, happy, healthy, liberated, thriving? Why? I don't understand. And so it's the example that gets people curious. That's what gets them in the door. And then, if they're willing to stick around long enough, they begin to recall and reclaim and recollect these truths. And then that begins to create shifts within. And once there's a shift within, now the body has muscle memory, the body has cellular memory. Now there's a neural pathway. Now I have a model that I can recreate. A physical reality requires a physical experience. That's why it is so important for us to do. Because thinking about it makes it real on one level, but it doesn't make it real for the human in the physical level. So it must be done, it must be chosen, it must be acted upon. And it's up to you to decide what those actions are. It's up to you to decide what kind of reality you want to cultivate and nurture and curate. Nature for me is one of my greatest teachers because she shows me, right? If something is growing and I don't want it to be there, I can uproot it. That's one way to do it. I can just dig it up and toss it in the bin. I can also nurture and tend to the other plants around it that are I want to grow, and they will just naturally weed out or choke out the weeds, right? If there's a lot of plants that I really want, there just isn't room for the weeds or the unwanted plants to establish themselves and to grow. So I just had to decide which approach I wanted. So some of them I uproot, and some of them I just focus on the things that I love and the things that I want and let them take care of it. So there's a million different ways to approach it. You can also just dig up the whole entire bed, pour in your own dirt, put down weed fabric, pour in your own dirt, and then you have started from scratch and you don't have anything to deal with or contend with that was there before. So there's a million different ways to get to the top of the mountain. And once we get through that existential grief of realizing that we've just been lied to for several thousand years, willingly and on purpose, and when you start to dive in and dig in and realize that those who have been manipulating us have also been telling us that they're manipulating us the whole time, it just really becomes a farce. And you start to see, like, wow, this really is just a game. This really is just a game. So when we remember that, it's like Neo going back into the Matrix. Yeah, he understands, right? He knows how to play the game, but he knows that it's a game. Here's the thing with a game. Implicit in a game or baked into a game are rules and regulations. So even a game such as this still has rules that everybody has to abide by. One of them is the rule that this is a free will reality. So anything that you are going to do or offer to people, they must willingly say yes to. So think about all of the times that we say yes to things without even really knowing what we're saying yes to. How many times have you clicked the user agreement on an app or a program that you use and you don't even know what you just agreed to? You don't even know, right? The things that we vote for that are often wrapped in the guise of, oh, this is really, really good for you. And then when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, no, this is only good for the few who are at the top. This isn't good really for anybody. So this is when we can start to talk about form and function, right? Intention and outcome are inextricably entwined in this reality. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So if something is intended to be cheap first, right? I want this to be profitable more than I want it to be effective. So if my number one goal with making this pen and selling it to you is I'm going to make a lot of money, and maybe even I bake into this pen that it's only going to work for like a week. So every time you buy one of these pens, it works for a week and it works really good, but then you have to go buy another pen, right? So my intention was to make it profitable first and functional second. This pen will never be able to escape the intention of its creator. It will never be more functional than it is profitable because it can't be. It was designed to be so. So let's take this idea a little bit further. If a governmental body is telling you that something is an inalienable right that cannot be taken away from you, or a right that is enshrined in your constitution or your governing documents, whatever they are, if they say this can never be taken from you, and then they take it from you, it was never intended to be yours to begin with. Because when something really is yours, you can't lose it. It can't be taken from you. So when someone says, "Oh yeah, this belongs to you," and then 20, 30, 40 years later they go, "Oh no, we're taking it back." The truth is, it was only ever a temporary right. Why do you think we have to buy a new one of these every 18 to 24 months? They're designed to become obsolete as quickly as they are made. Some phones are going for what, like 12 to $1,500 now? That's a pretty good freaking profit. If I sell this to you at $1,200 and a year and a half later you have to buy a new one, and I've got 12 million people on that model, it's not going kaput because it's a bad piece of technology. It's going kaput because that was the intended outcome of the technology to begin with. So watch what people do, not what they say. Watch what comes out of the oven. Don't believe the fucking baker until you taste it. Because if something is meant to be, yes, Brian, that's it. 90% of it is intention, the rest is just choreography. So when someone tells you, this is what I'm going to do, and it ends up not happening, they never intended to do it in the first place. It was just moving the furniture around and rearranging things. So pay attention. Pay attention. Words are important, and so are actions. You can't have one without the other in this reality. We need the balance of the idea, of the concept, of the inspiration, and then we got to put it into action. Then we have to choose, we have to do. So when something is intended, there's another way to look at this, and Freddie Silva talks about this in his book, The Hidden Lands. And he says this idea of form and function is even shown to us on the planet, where we have these big mountain peaks, where there are big, high peaks on the surface of the planet. What that tells you is where a big spike in energy is. So the land follows the intention of the energy. So the form always shows you what the intention was to begin with. So when you look around at all of these sacred sites and these sacred places, why are most of them mountains? Also, if you look at where all of the Catholic cathedrals and Christian churches are built around the world, they're already built on pre existing energetic sites. The Druids, the pagans, whatever collection of individuals decided that this was a sacred site or tapped into the sacredness of it, did so because of the energy, the current. They were connecting with the energy in the planet. And the planet was telling them, this is a sacred site. This is a concentration of telluric energy. So build something here. And they did. And then the motherfucking Christians came along and slaughtered them all and then built their churches on top of that, because don't you think that they also knew about the energetic centers on the planet? And then they spend the next several thousand years telling you that that idea of sacredness, that's satanic, that's the devil, which is the whole reason that you built the church in this place to begin with. So they take the truth, they hoard it for themselves, and then they tell all of you that you're wrong. No, that's not the truth. You're crazy for thinking that's the truth. Why would you ever think that's the truth? You're insane. You're a crazy person. You're a lunatic. Why don't we just burn you at the stake? Why don't we just lock you up in prison? So, yep, they are lying to themselves. And that's the fucked up thing. They think that they are doing the best thing that they can do for the beings that they align with, for the energy and the frequency that they align themselves with, that they are congruent with, according to their belief system. What they are doing is a good thing. It's a noble thing. It is the thing that which they serve is asking of them. So they're just being a good follower. They're just being a good worshiper. Interesting how, regardless of the God that you are worshiping, the words are the same. So, listen to the words, but if it feels a little off, wait to see what the actions do before you commit. And if someone says, no, I need you to tell me before I act, and they're putting pressure on you to decide before you're ready to, then it's a no. What do we say? If it's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no. And if I'm not entirely sure I want to do it and you're pressuring me, then it's really a no, because there's something weird there. There's something weird. If this really was an opportunity for me, then you would give me the time to decide if it is actually for me. So that's why we're here. To ask these questions. What the WTF? What the WTF? I think that's what I have for you today. I have a client in about a half an hour, so I do need to eat something before I sit with her. So I think we'll call this done. Oh, tomorrow is the Pleiadian Light Circle channel group healing. This beautiful group of beings, the trio, these Pleiadian beings that I channel. They're so wonderful, and it's going to be such a beautiful healing experience. It's $12. Everyone who signs up will get a recording. So even if you can't make it live, it's tomorrow, Sunday the 28th. Even if you can't make it live, you'll still get the recording. I would love to see you there. The link is in the description. Donation links are in the description too if you feel like you want to offer some love. Thank you, everybody who's been buying and reviewing this on Amazon. I love seeing the position on the bestsellers list climb. It continues to climb. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all of the support. Y'all are just amazing, magical, wonderful beings, and I so appreciate it. Reminder that all of my sessions are on 20% off discount for the next few days. And then as of May 1st, they go back to the full price. So if you go to my booking calendar, link is in the description, you'll see spring20 is the coupon code. Like, share, subscribe. Tell everybody about it. And I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.